Ahead tonight, tragedy strikes in Mayaguana as an emergency flight ends in disaster. Hear what authorities are saying about the incident.
BEC workers tracked down the Prime Minister today, hoping he could resolve the grievance which marked a third day off the job. Ahead tonight, what headway they've made.
Plus, a political hopeful and community activist ends up behind bars. The charge against him is straight ahead. The National Report starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This segment of the news is brought to you by BTC, powered by Lime.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Keishla Adderley.
And I'm Kendino Knowles. As always, it's good to have you with us.
An unconventional but common practice on a Mayaguana airstrip claimed 3 lives today. The landing of an emergency flight went terribly wrong when the plane made contact with a vehicle, causing it to burst into flames, killing 3 relatives on the spot.
Now, a team from the Civil Aviation Department and police are on the island conducting investigations. Attorney Mavis Johnson Colley tonight has confirmed the names of those killed, including her mother-in-law, Edith Barnes Colley, along with her sister-in-law, Ina Mae Polowick, and husband, Tim Polowick, all of whom are family members of former Cabinet Minister Sidney Colley.
Well, tonight our Andrew Knowles, who was on the island today, tells us about the chain of events which led to the tragedy.
An emergency landing in Mayaguana turned tragic early this morning, leaving 3 people dead and an island in shock. We're told a 9-seater twin-engine Lee Air charter was en route to Mayaguana to collect a male patient around 1 a.m. Due to a non-illuminated airport runway, residents and volunteers used their vehicle lights to assist in the emergency landing. Island Administrator Charles Moss watched the whole ordeal unfold before his eyes.
Surreal. It was something out of a movie. You actually see, and it's just surreal. You know, it still affects me right now. And then when you see human bodies burning, it's yeah. But it appears that the plane would have hit one of the trucks on the landway that was providing light for the emergency plane landing. And after hitting the first truck, it then hit a second vehicle, and the second vehicle is where the plane, the wing of the plane exploded.
Moss says 2 females and a male were in the vehicle when it all happened.
2 efforts were impossible. As I said, you know, once the wing of the plane hit the truck, it engulfed. There was really nothing that anybody could have done. Actually, the ironic thing is the only thing that survived was a Holy Bible. That was the only thing that survived out of that truck. This, you know, God still has his eyes on us, and for that we are thankful.
Now, while no information has been officially released on the victims, our news team understands one of them to be an elderly lady believed to be the mother of a former cabinet minister. Now, police and members of the Air Accident Investigation and Prevention Unit of the Department of Civil Aviation flew into Mayaguana at 5 o'clock this morning to begin their investigations into the tragedy. But Moss lamented that it took 3 lives to highlight the need for runway lights.
It's sad that, you know, this event has had to happen. That's going to cause persons to look at getting this runway repaired. You know, as I say before, the loss of 1 life is far too many, and we had to lose 3 lives for this. You know, this is ridiculous.
Transport and Aviation Minister Glenys Hannah Martin expressed condolences over the unfortunate incident.
What has happened in Mayaguana is extremely sad, and it highlights the importance of ensuring that people are able to, even in the darkness of night, to effect exit entry into these islands for life and death circumstances.
In fact, Hannah Martin says when she first served as minister, the former Christie administration illuminated 17 airport runways for emergency purposes. However, she says Mayaguana was not included due to a development agreement with the I Group. Part of the agreement was the rehabilitation of the runway and terminal development.
I'm advised that lights were not installed, and so while I believe from what I've been told that there were some works that had been done there, they were not in the area of installing lights. it's now something that we will have to bring an immediate focus to, because as a matter of policy under the Christie administration, we knew that this sort of thing was happening in emergencies, medical emergencies, or any kind of emergency. We made it a priority to give at least emergency lighting to all of the major airports. But this is what the situation was with Mayaguana.
Meantime, the minister assured that a full investigation will be carried out into the causes and circumstances surrounding this terrible event. Andrew Knowles, ZNS Network News.
Well, the government is conducting an investigation into the tragedy at the airport in Mayaguana, which claimed the lives of those 3 people.
Prime Minister Perry Christie says efforts will also be made to prevent similar accidents from happening in the future.
We have to have a very full investigation of what has happened, and 2, take whatever steps that are necessary to ensure that future incidents of that kind can be avoided.
Now, Mr. Christie noted that before his administration admitted office in 2007, the government had an agreement with the I Group to address the issue of lighting. However, he said the Ingram administration reviewed the agreement and changed it.
Work on the airport. I'm told by the minister that testing was being done on the airport as to whether or not the work was being done effectively for an airstrip, and there were questions coming out of that. And so to really answer your question, there is a compelling urgency for the government of the Bahamas to meet with the I Group, because the government of the Bahamas cannot allow a situation to exist, notwithstanding agreements, where an airport remains unlighted.
In other news, BEC workers got what they were hoping for today after they took their concerns to the nation's chief. They showed up at the Prime Minister's speaking engagement this morning as they began a 3rd day of protests over what they claim is unfair treatment of 2 of their colleagues. Fern Carey has a story.
Around 175 BEC workers camped outside Super Club Breezes today, determined to air their concerns to the nation's leader, Prime Minister Perry Christie. Mr. Christie had a speaking engagement there. The move marks the 3rd day BEC workers have protested in order to show their disapproval over the termination of an entry clerk and the suspension of another employee. The Bahamas Electrical Workers Union wants the workers to be reinstated and is also calling for the removal of BEC Chairman Leslie Miller. However, Prime Minister Christie said Miller's removal has to be decided by the Cabinet of the Bahamas.
I don't know that they have made representations in that regard to the Deputy Prime Minister. If they have, he has to bring those representations to the Cabinet. And most certainly, you mustn't demand that of me in a public setting, that I do anything. That is not the way in the Bahamas Bahamians ought to conduct themselves. I don't see it, and I would have thought the level of civility that ought to exist between me and the leadership of the union. It happened when I was there before. I had a very civil relationship with the leadership of the union, and I don't care how much they are disturbed by decision making. At the very least, I would expect them to be able to seek counsel with me as to why they think certain things should take place.
And regarding the public demands being made by the union,
I'm a very easygoing person. You can sit and talk with me about issues, but you can't shout it at me and you can't demand it of me. Because when you shout it at me and you demand it of me, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm not going to do it to you, and I don't expect you to do it to me.
After speaking with the media, Prime Minister Christie left the hotel and went to meet with waiting BEC employees. However, some of the workers attempted to cross the street as a trailer was approaching and had to be asked to move for safety reasons. Shortly afterwards, the Prime Minister spoke with Hotel Union President Nicole Madden and Union President Stefano Green, who indicated that the Prime Minister had agreed to a meeting.
The Prime Minister has given us a commitment that he will meet with us today. He just wants to go back, clear his calendar, so that he will call us and so that we can meet with him today. Yes. However, we need to be understanding that the Prime Minister, just like any other minister, does not want to sit down and discuss with a gun to his head.
What happens if the meetings with the Prime Minister don't go as you anticipate?
Because we know that in any negotiations you don't ever get everything that you want, but one of the things that we do know is the Prime Minister is very fair. he's always willing to listen, and he's always willing to try to act in the best interest of not only the Bahamian people, but also the individuals and the companies, the corporations. And
now, following a brief meeting here at Goodman's Bay, BC workers are expected to return to work today. However, the union leaders will meet with Prime Minister Perry Christie to discuss their outstanding concerns very soon. Brian Carey, ZNS Network News.
The publishing of a graphic photo of a man who died in police custody has landed activist and Justice of the Peace Rodney Monker in some hot water.
Well, today he was hauled before the courts accused of committing a grossly indecent act. Our Carissa Robinson has the rundown on today's court proceedings.
I committed no crime. I'm a justice of the peace.
Even before Rodney Monker was arraigned before Deputy Chief Magistrate Carolito Bethel, he pleaded for
freedom! Freedom! Spread the word!
As he was escorted, handcuffed by police into the Nassau Street complex, Monker continued shouting,
"Mark my way! The 4th of April! They're gonna kill me! Mark my way! They're gonna kill me! Mark my way! They're gonna kill me! Mark my way!"
According to court dockets, Monker publicly committed an indecent act by posting a photograph of the body of 33-year-old Jamie Smith, who died in police custody on February 8th. He allegedly posted a graphic photo of Smith on his Facebook page sometime between March 1st and March 29th. Speaking to reporters Thursday on the matter, Police Commissioner Ellison Greenslade condemned such acts.
This issue of posting nude pictures of people, obscene pictures of people, whether they are alive or dead or injured, is an area that's going to get you into grave problems. And I sound that clarion call this morning, and I demonstrate by action how serious I am about that.
Appearing before the Deputy Chief Magistrate, Monker had to be sternly warned several times. During the proceedings, the 56-year-old claimed that there is a blatant conflict of interest in appearing before Magistrate Bethel, whose husband he claims is suing him on behalf of Atlantis Resort. He went on to say that it would be unfair for her to read his charge. The judge, however, proceeded and warned Monker to conduct himself properly in the court of law. She reminded him that the court is not a political arena. After electing for his matter to be tried in the Supreme Court, the judge granted Monker $7,500 bail with 2 sureties. However, he objected to the bail amount, claiming that he or his wife could not afford to pay it. He told the judge that his wife, who works for him, only makes a slave's pay of $100 per week, and insisted that she or no other person could sign his bail.
So Mr. Monker will be spending the night in Her Majesty's prison. He will return to court tomorrow at 2 p.m. when the prosecution will decide whether it will proceed by a preliminary hearing or voluntary bill of indictment. Charisma Robinson, ZNS Network News.
Well, Police Commissioner Ellison Greenslade says the force is also taking strong action against people who post explicit sex tapes of young girls on the internet.
Now, he says such action will not be tolerated. Just recently, 2 teens believed to be residing in the Bahamas allegedly engaged in sexual intercourse, and the video went viral on a popular social network site. After several hours and thousands of views, the video was reportedly taken down.
If as an adult you are doing some things in the privacy of your home, as a consenting adult with some other adult, that has absolutely nothing to do with me, you, or the police department. However, where you are manipulated as a citizen to take those images and to post them in any form, to the extent that they now infringe upon the rights of a person and cause them undue harm and damage to their reputation, you are now on a very, very slippery slope. I am going to pursue every single one of them. We have looked at charges already for any number of cases.
Now, the commissioner says our laws should be updated in order to prosecute these kinds of crimes.
I think we're at a position today where we can hold a line. I don't want to be overly aggressive with my comments, except to say I'd like to see some improvements. I believe we need to afford the best protections to our people. That is what I want to say. We have to afford you the best protections. It's a beautiful thing to be able to use technology, but we need to use it for positive reasons.
Well, thousands of telephone customers are tonight without landline service because of a technical fault on BTC's network. The company says about 6,000 customers in western New Providence are without landline phone services as a result. The Lyndon Pinley International Airport is affected but still has internet services. BTC says the outage happened around 1 o'clock this afternoon in the areas of Delaport, Coral Harbor, Lyford Key, and airport exchanges. BTC technicians are working to find and fix the problem.
In our first look at weather, we do have a line of showers and thunderstorms affecting Grand Bahama and Bimini, and they will get stronger during the course of the night. But outside of our studios just now, we have cloudy skies, temperatures 77 degrees, relative humidity 79%. Your winds are out of the south-southeast at 8 knots, barometric pressure 1,016.0 millibars, that's 30.00 inches, and it is steady. But stay tuned, temperatures around the Farming Islands, travel and boating forecast is still to come.
Well, still to come tonight, BTC steps up to help another sporting event, and this one is even larger than Carifta.
And former Acting Deputy Police Commissioner Christopher McCoy is remembered. You're watching The Bahamas Tonight in HD.